Hello, bonnet heads. I am here today cradling my coffee like as if baby Carrie was just rescued from a well. I'm holding on to her real tight because this is the aftermath, the literal morning after the 3-day 50th anniversary of Little House on the Prairie. I am here, of course, with my hashtag imaginary boyfriend, Dean Butler, live in the studio. I know,
first time ever. So glad you're here in the space. I just feel the energy.
I know, it's
I feel
really
the love
good.
directly, yeah.
Thank you. And I'm also here with Allison Arngrim, our lovely and very tired prairie bitch today. She is jet lagged.
How am I not in bed?
I know. I hope the lower half of you is just pajamas. Please tell me.
I have sweats and sneakers on. Yes.
So I just want to hear what the rundown of the quick rundown of what you did between now and where you were for the last 4 or 5 days.
So on Monday night, I landed at the LAX from Paris. I got in a little early, which was good because then we were actually able to eat. And then I went to bed early. Yeah. I pulled some clothes out, said I need this tomorrow. And then I got up and did KCAL, and we did news, and I did multiple interviews. Then I did Good Morning America. And then Thursday was press day, which made me wonder what Tuesday and Wednesday were, because that's all
right.
And then Friday, Thursday night, checked into a hotel room and brought all my stuff and unloaded. And then Friday morning, hit the ground right, showed up, and they were already lining up while we're unpacking. So what was it, 12,000 people? Yeah. Somewhere in that range.
I heard that 18,000 tickets were sold. That's what someone told me.
Signed stuff, and I had bonnets and T-shirts and photos and books. I did sell all my books. I sold all my books, like 3 crates. Then there were things. There were panels and photo ops, many of which were actually scheduled at the same time. And so there's a lot of running around. We had these golf carts. Okay, my favorite part of the weekend was the golf cart rides between the autograph area and the 2 stages and the different places I had to go, because it was like when I was in Maui. My favorite part was driving the tractor to the main house. That was it. So the golf cart rides, bounding over the hills in the park to get me to various
and
things.
When you're on one of those,
it was insane.
Yeah.
It was.
When you're on the golf cart, especially with Karen Grassley, it literally was like riding with the Queen. I mean, people just waving and waving back, and it was insane. It was insane.
Yeah. Well, and we are so Allison, we have guests in the studio today, which we never have. So Pamela, tell everybody who's here.
I am so thrilled that Chris Chaika is here, who's my pal, my bestie. We are now officially bonded for life, sharing this experience together.
Veterans of the Town Square tent.
Yes. Chris was also the co-moderator of all the panels. I think you and I both did 14 panels each.
14 panels each.
That's awesome.
It's a lot of panels. It's a lot of panel. It's all the panels.
It was a lot of talking, but it was incredible.
It was incredible. And Jen Brawler is also here, who's Dean's social media mogul, and she also was on one of the panels, which was my sort of maybe most favorite panel.
Okay, can I just say my favorite part of the panels was the look on your face and Chris's face and the mother's face, because things would just go off the rails and out of control. All of us actors were freaking out because it's the 50th anniversary and we're seeing people we hadn't seen in months, days, years, decades. And we were just overwhelmed by how many people. So people just started opening their mouths and saying stuff. And then we turn around and your face, you're going to be like, what is happening? What is happening?
No, because I'm a fan as well as the moderator, so I'm intently listening to these stories, like as if an audience member is listening to it also, and I would just sort of go into a trance at a certain point, and especially with Jonathan Gilbert, which we'll talk about soon.
And as the weekend went on, I think the cast members, because you all were up in the Civic Center signing photographs and talking to fans, we were getting tired. And you guys were getting tired.
We were
and as everyone got more tired, everyone got more punchy. and the filters got more and more and more porous, and the stories got funnier and funnier and funnier.
So we've started to introduce Jen Brayler. Jen has also been asked if she's my wife, my daughter.
Thought we weren't going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Catherine.
Oh no,
was-
Catherine will
Sorry,
be no.
Catherine.
Catherine will be okay.
Love Catherine.
Catherine very confident. So she does, but
She
it's
should
fun,
be.
It's,
She's
but
amazing.
It's
You do look like his
yeah,
daughter.
no, yeah.
over-
It's a good pairing at a table. And Jen, so I was hearing about your panel experience and understanding that it was amazing. And I know you're all going to talk about that more because I wasn't there, but you made a nice contribution this weekend.
Really
Thank
did.
you so much. It was a joy. Thank you so much for having me. I was nervous, obviously. This is not my exact audience of what I normally do. My normal audience is just very Christian lifestyle. So I'm normally talking to a bunch of Christians. And so Little House is my audience, but also it's not. And so it's
It's a
just
spectrum, that audience.
yes. And it was such a joy because the way people reacted, people even coming up to our table while we were there to see you, I had so many people coming up in tears and just saying thank you so much for just sharing your story, and it resonated with me so much. But no, my favorite question is, are you Dean's daughter? And I guess it's the blonde hair and the blue eyes, but I talked to Catherine and she said that I'm an adopted butler now.
Yeah, oh, okay.
And that she will be my mom and Dean can be my dad. So
There you go.
there we go. Adopted family. So I'm an adopted butler, but I'm not related by blood. Even though we are.
And she's
blood.
amazing social media. I
Thank
tell
you,
you,
Dean.
Jen has been spectacular. I think so much of, on a personal level, so much of people's reaction to me through the weekend was so based on all the content that Jen has been creating for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
That's just been amazing, promoting the event, leading people to it, showing people the steps along the way. You've done a spectacular job.
Thank
Let
you.
me say it here for all of our podcast audience. You're amazing, and I'm just so pleased that we're able to do
Thank
this
you,
together.
Dean. Well, it was overwhelming that so many people came up and said, I found out about this event because of Dean's social media.
Yeah, man.
Like his TikTok, his Facebook, his Instagram. And that was like, well, that's great because, man, we've been working really hard on it for the last 6 months to get you
Right.
where you are.
Some numbers, right.
So I'm just
Right.
very, very thankful for the turnout that we had and the way that it went. So thank you so much, Dean.
You're so welcome. So, all right, there was a highlight on the panel stage. Pamela, and sorry, I did it.
You
I did
corrected it,
I
though.
corrected it. So
I know.
I'm never to call her Pam. She's not Pam. She's Pamela. And Allison, you two had an incredible experience with your long departed, long invisible TV brother. You got to talk about that because I think that was a huge highlight of the weekend.
It was like having someone you love come back from the dead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I hadn't seen him or spoken to him, seen him. I had a letter with, I hadn't seen him since 1983. 83.
Yeah.
And I did write to him when my book was coming out in 2010, and he wrote back a beautiful letter. So I knew he was alive and kicking, and that unlike Willie, his grammar and spelling had dramatically improved. Really good. I mean, you get letters from people and you go, oh, this person can write. And then I would get reports from Melissa. And then in the last couple of years, Melissa said, hey, Jonathan and I are like totally like frickin' frack back at it, talking again. I'm like, get out. So I was like, this is great. This is great. This is great. And they said, no, I think he's going to come to the 50th. I said, oh, he's not going to come. I mean, that's going to be thousands of people. He's like really private. He's not going to. And pay me blue and call me Mary. He was there. He showed up. Okay. He showed up. Like made an entrance. Okay, first of all, he milked
Yes,
this
he
thing.
did make an entrance.
No photos on me. Still the fake photos of, as I said, we have to have a support group for all the men who've been identified as Jonathan Gilbert.
No,
for
we'll
years.
talk about
We'll
that.
talk about
We'll
yeah,
talk about
his
that.
entrance on the stage.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
It's up on Instagram. He's in Willie, and then finally, we're doing the group photo, and whoosh, he appears in a puff of smoke in a suit, and we're like, hi, and everyone loses their mind. Melissa's crying, and I'm crying, and then it just went nuts from there. And then he's got the man bun thing, and then decides to let down his hair, causing large numbers of women to scream, Right.
There was swooning.
Insane.
No, it was a moment. It was a moment. Well, and
So, look at these. So we're seeing some
photos.
pictures now.
This was after the festival ended yesterday. Everyone had gone home, and they decided to do a costume change. In fact, as I was leaving the center, Jonathan and I passed each other, and he was in full Willy drag, and I was like, "Bye, Jonathan," and he was like, "Bye." Oh, I want to talk to you, Pamela, but okay, I just have to do a thing, and I was like, "Okay," and I left, and I was like.
Yeah.
He was just dressed up as Willy.
We were leaving. Bob and I were in the car. We loved the car. And then they said, oh, Olin and the guys are by the sets. That there was something like they were going to have. I said, look, we're not going to dinner. We're too tired, blah, blah. We go back into the set area and they go, Jonathan's changing. And I said, like, into what? What?
He's changing. Not on the inside. He's changing on the outside.
And he comes out in the full Willy gear. I mean, everything, the socks, the whole thing, and the hair. And climbs
I mean, it's a perfect recreation.
And he starts playing with a slingshot, and I'm like, what is he doing? What is he doing? And I go, fine, that's it, Bob, get the wig. And then it all went, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It was
Instead of the baby, it's Bob, get the wig,
Bob, get the wig. That's a great line.
Well, should we tell how it started?
Well, the panel with Jonathan. So, Allison, you and I had been on the outdoor stage where it was a trifle windy. It was trifle windy and a little cold. And then Allison got bundled off in the golf cart and went away back up to the Civic Center.
Now you go back to the room.
And there had been discussions. The schedule had been shifting, and it wasn't entirely clear that Jonathan was going to be doing the panel, or that the panel may have moved. And we were being very adaptable people.
And even on Friday, it was not clear whether he was actually going to show up or not. Everything was still in the air.
So
we didn't know if he was doing a panel. We didn't know if he was going to go through.
No.
We didn't know what time the panel was. Everything had changed 15 times.
Yes.
Panel was on one tent, which was about a quarter mile away, and she was preparing to possibly do a panel with Allison and Jonathan, or maybe just Allison.
Right.
Nobody was quite sure what was happening.
Right.
I was at the outdoor stage, which was about a quarter mile away, and waiting to go on stage with Melissa Gilbert and have an interview with Melissa Gilbert on the outdoor stage. I'm preparing, I see Melissa coming down the hill in the golf cart, and my cell phone rings, and I look, and it's Allison Arngrim calling me. And I was like, well, this is what's happening. So I answered the phone, and Allison's like, what is going on? And I was like, not sure. What is going on with you? She's like, where's Jonathan? And I was like, and she's like, where am I supposed to be? And I was like, I think you're supposed to be doing a panel.
This is the whole weekend, by the way.
Everyone's telling me to find Jonathan. Jonathan is not here.
Right.
I had just walked in the door, and then they're saying, no, you're supposed to be another panel. I just got back from a panel. What do you mean I'm going to a panel? And then they said, go get Jonathan. I go, I can't go get Jonathan. He's not here.
He's not here.
And he looks around. I go, I can't bring him. And why would I can't bring him. He's not here. He walked over. He didn't take a golf cart. And then I get, he's here on stage. Come now.
Well, so this is what happened.
Well,
so
before you get to that, so Melissa is getting off the golf cart. And Allison's like, what am I supposed to do? And I was like, Allison, I got Melissa here. I can't talk to you anymore. I was like, I think you should go to the tent. Good luck. And I hung up, and Melissa and I went on the stage. And
Bob, get the wig.
Bob, get the wig.
So what's happening in my world is that, behind the big tent, there's sort of a green room tent where we're hanging out before we go onto the stage. And before we go onto the stage, Kevin comes on.
Who, let's just stop for a second.
Yes.
Kevin was our producer
our
guy.
Wrangler.
Kevin Tyson at the Town Square tent, who kept Pamela and I sane. Kept the cast members sane, and really was like the ringmaster of the circus for 3 days, and did an incredible job.
Yes, he did.
And so before each panel, Kevin would go on stage, say who he is, give sort of the house rules, and then introduce me or Chris, whoever was moderating, and the cast members who were coming on. And then we enter the stage. I'm waiting back in the tent. I am alone. There is no Jonathan. There is no Allison. And I'm just waiting back
and there are 1,000 people in the tent, and another 1,000 people outside, ringing the tent.
Right. So
it's wild.
The next thing we hear is just the crowd erupting in cheers and just uproarious applause and cheering. And we're going, what's going on? And the next thing I know, someone's going, Jonathan's on the stage. Jonathan's on the stage. He just got up and went on the stage.
He
just walked down and got on the stage
and sat down in the chair in the middle of the stage.
So he's just sitting there by himself?
Yes.
Did he talk into the microphone or anything?
Nothing.
He just sat there.
He just got, and we were like,
That's hysterical.
I guess I have to go now on the stage. So then we sort of sloppily get on there. And then I say to him, like, Allison's not here yet, but we can get started. And he was like, no, I want to wait. I want to wait for Allison. I was like, oh, cool. So now we're in front of 2,000 people and he doesn't want to start talking yet.
And as far as we know, Allison is sitting in the Civic Center because she doesn't know that she is supposed to be in the tent.
So now I'm sitting.
And I'm looking for Jonathan.
Right. So now I'm sitting on stage with Jonathan Gilbert,
Not talking.
who doesn't want to talk yet.
I just want to say, how perfect is that?
That's
for
what
Jonathan?
Allison was saying.
I mean, that whole approach is so perfect for Jonathan. So, Allison, you need to talk about that a little bit. I mean,
It's on brand. It is on brand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Jonathan Gilbert, when he was a tiny child, was a prankster and brilliant. I mean, a genius. He's absolutely brilliant. I knew he was a genius as a child. I knew he was not like other people as a child. And I knew that he liked to mess with them. But he's dead. And he's still doing it. So this was totally on brand. It wasn't like, wow, that's so unusual. Is Jonathan doing that? We're like, yeah. When the Instagram thing, I went, yeah, that's him, all right. Yeah, this is, yeah. So I'm looking for him, and then it's like, he's here, he's on stage. What? Because I said, I'm not going to a thing if he's not. And so
Bob,
then
get the wig. It's just
get the wig.
It's the
And then the
emergency
world's
call.
fastest golf cart ride, hanging on for dear life to try to get there. And then as soon as they see the golf cart, they start chanting, Nelly.
Well, first they were chanting Willie, 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 and then it turned into Nellie because they saw her golf cart start coming down the hill. And it turned into
And then
this
I
rock
walk out, and then
concert.
there's insanity, pandemonium. What the hell? Yeah.
I was sort of vamping before she got there, but
I watched your totally uncomfortable conversation where you're trying to get Jonathan to talk, and I'm not there.
it was okay. I got a few laughs, and that was the important part to just keep him. And then I made a bit out of waiting for you, so that was funny. But I was glad you arrived when you arrived. Certainly.
All right, so before we go on with this, I realize we've been remiss by not actually introducing the show. So before we go any farther,
sure.
let's just say from the studios of UBN Go in
Burbank, California.
Visit
Beautiful downtown
SimiValley.com presents a special event podcast. This is the
It's
Little House 50 for 50.
Woo-woo! I know, soothing tones.
If only we'd heard this song this weekend.
Oh, gee.
I think we heard the theme song about
800 times.
billion times.
In my ears.
Yeah, incredible and so moving to hear people's response to it. I mean, I don't know if we've really painted the picture. Now, a lot of people who are listening today were probably there because clearly people who came to the event are listeners to the podcast. But we could all confirm just this sea of humanity was around us all 3 days, despite the rain, despite the long
lining
lines,
up at 7:30 in the morning in full
it was
prairie
just
drag.
An incredible. Yeah, how did you describe it?
Prairie drag.
Oh, I heard someone in line on Friday. I mean, the line on Friday morning was
Starting
it was
at 7:30.
It was bigger than the Disneyland
huge.
line.
Yeah.
And I heard someone say, "What is this? Six Flags Over Little House?" And I was like, "Apparently, it is Six Flags Over Little House."
That's the name of Six Flags Over Little House.
It was a remarkable scene, and for those of us who had spent the time, so much time preparing this to get it ready to go, and it's sort of that Field of Dreams thing. If you build it, they will come. You know, you build it, you really don't. I mean, yes, the tickets have been sold, but you really don't know if they're going to come.
Right.
And then we walk out of this tent, Allison, our first panel, we walk out of the tent and looking literally, it was half a mile down the road, this lineup of people. It was just the most moving thing to see.
Love.
It was bananas.
Love.
I got to give props.
Everyone.
One of the volunteers, Mary, and she works at Disney World in her real life. And we were having a time of it because there's only so much space in that building. We got literally everyone from the show was there. And so Dean's line is backing up this way, like straight into Jonathan's table. And then Jonathan and Melissa lines go. And they said, my lines, oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? People are bumping into each other. And they're all being really nice. Everyone's being like insanely polite.
Yeah.
But we're like, this is getting a little. And then this woman walks up and goes, I work at Disney World. Let me show you how this is done. And she put tape on the floor and she made a line that wound around like they were going to the
that's
Haunted
great.
Mansion.
That helped.
And she set this and that line, and it was brilliant. And she'd go, how many in your party? Before she'd let them in line. 3 was there, party of 3, party of 2, party of 3, party of 2. And she made, and
Oh my
she
God,
made the
we
train
love
run on
her.
time. And that thing worked. We were moving them in and out of there. It was amazing.
Wait, can we get back to Jonathan for a second?
Yes, back to
Just for a
Jonathan.
second,
Who
because
had
we have a
the-
For a
special
second,
guest coming
I just
in a
want
minute.
to. I just want to sort of wrap up there he is.
Looking so
you
hair
know,
down. You got
hair-
to tell
he
the
took
hair.
his hair down,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the crowd went wild. But the build up for seeing him was so intense, especially that week before the festival started, as I call it. #GilbertGate 2024 because he was the man of mystery and people kept posting pictures of what he looked like, and on the website they posted a picture Jonathan Gilbert. It
And
wasn't
people
Jonathan
still,
Gilbert.
well, no, even when it was his picture,
They
his
still
Instagram
didn't
picture,
believe it.
that's not him.
I know.
And it's like, oh.
So it was this huge buildup. So
It wasn't him.
I just want to sum up the experience by saying he was more than happy to share his experiences. He was more than happy to be there. I think he was very appreciative of everything. I don't think he realized how loved he was. And I kept telling him, do you understand what it means that you're here? You are so loved. And I just want to say how the whole thing ended, which was, I wasn't going to breach the subject at all of Jonathan Gilbert, where have you been for the past 30 years? That's not my business. I wasn't going to go there. Right. It's fine. And at the end of every panel, there were questions, Q&As for the audience that they were allowed to write on little cards. And the last question on the card was, Jonathan, where have you been? We love you. And I thought, oh boy, well, at least it wasn't coming from me, right? It's an audience member. It's not me asking. So I went ahead and I asked it. And he really took a beat and he said, I've been traveling. I've traveled the world. I've studied under great spiritual masters. I've been on a spiritual journey for 20
I was briefly
years.
a stockbroker in New York.
So that rumor was
like,
true.
aha!
That rumor was true. That was a rumor going around. I was briefly a stockbroker in New York. He said, but for 30 years, I've been trying to figure out how to live. And what I didn't realize was I never felt more alive than when I was with this cast in Little House on the Prairie. And what I learned this weekend, I know, Allison, and what I learned this weekend is that I've come home. And it took the breath away. I know. It took the breath away from everyone. And I was watching Allison the whole time he was saying that. And like I said, I've been friends with Allison for over 8 years now. And she does not cry. She does not cry. And she just welled up with tears. And then, of course, made a comic bit out of it at the end, which was brilliant. But it was an incredibly moving, extraordinary moment. And that last moment was just like you felt the heavens part and the beam come down.
I have to say,
incredible.
When one of the things a lot of people remember about Little House is tears and laughter through tears.
Yeah.
And I think almost every panel that the folks I was speaking to, there was a tear here or there from most of the panelists. There were a couple of times where I was in tears.
I cried so much
because
that
there was
last
so
day.
much emotion and there was so much nostalgia. And people just felt so good about seeing each other, and the fans seeing the cast. It was just incredible. The love and the emotion between the audience and the folks who were on stage with us.
Very surreal.
I cried so much. Okay, the other big cry jag I had, seeing John, I cried this. I went to sign a photo. It's a photo I've signed a million times. It's a cute picture of me and Jonathan, Nellie and Willie in front of the Mercantile. I signed this picture like a million times. I've had it for years. And I go to sign it, and they said, oh, I have to leave room for Jonathan to sign it.
Oh, wow.
And then proceeded to burst into tears.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So, talking about tears and emotion, all of us were there this weekend to honor the memory of Michael Landon, who there is no Little House on the Prairie without Michael Landon. The idea was developed by Ed Friendly and together pitched by Michael and Ed Friendly at NBC, but it was Michael's vision and we all know this, it was Michael's vision that drove the show forward for 10 years. One of the most important things to all of us as we were putting this project together was to make sure, or to ensure that Michael's children were aware of what we were doing, and that they could be there and see the love and the affection, the devotion that goes on for their father, not only among the cast, but a sampling of the love and affection that exists in the public sphere for their father.
Across the planet Earth.
It's huge. It's huge. So this morning, as I was dragging myself out of bed, after getting to bed,
it hurts, you guys.
At 10,
it hurts.
At 10 after all day, I pinged Mike Jr. and just said, "Would you and Leslie come on the podcast just for a few minutes to talk about your reactions to what you saw this weekend?" And I'm so grateful that Mike and Leslie are here with us now, guys. Welcome and. Thank you so much for being with us. What did you feel after being with us over the weekend? What was it for you?
Oh, we can start.
Yeah, heavy.
Well, oh gosh.
I can tell you this much: there's no more tears left in me. They were all spent over the weekend, guys. The outpouring of love for our father, for the show, was no words. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of the most memorable experiences of my life by far.
Definitely. We were so excited about this event and leading up to it, and obviously seeing all familiar faces. But what really took us by surprise was the stories that we got to hear from people. And I happened to have a Kleenex in my bag on the first day.
I didn't. You came more prepared than I did.
The first day, I had so much Kleenex for the next couple days because Mike and I were just blown away. And honestly, even though it was incredible to see the sets, the recreated sets, etc., but it was seeing the fans and hearing their stories that was the most moving for us.
Anything that you can share that is particularly memorable about what you heard from anybody?
Oh, sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, a lot of them were, the surrogate father story coming from, dysfunctional families, absentee dads, where Pa Ingalls was there for them. That was their father, or the Ingalls family in general being their family and their ideal, what they so desired in life. And then using the lessons and the love that was created in the series as a launching pad for their families.
Yes.
That they create in the future. So yeah, the impact, and it was globally too. One other quick story to share, which is we met this lovely lady from Turkey, and this was amazing. It was the only series that the Turkish government allowed to be aired in Turkey. And, she was saying as she was growing up, they always had this negative sense of the U.S. and that they were, the enemy, if you will. And watching this show made them realize that why is that? This their morals, their love for each other, this is what we want to embrace, the faith aspects of it. So it impacted her and all the children that she knew and the families that she knew. And she said, had the cast of Little House showed up in Turkey, they would have been showered with love.
Wow.
Because they were all so moved by what they witnessed and what they experienced through the show.
And the other takeaway too for us, obviously it was wonderful to show our kids Little House and to see their grandpa, to hear his voice. Obviously, they never got to meet him, but having so many families come up to us and talk about their children and then their grandchildren also watching, it really hit us how generational Little House has been, and it will continue.
Did you see all those little girls in their prairie garb?
Oh
and
gosh! Yeah.
I mean, I was so moved by that too, of knowing that these young kids are now watching the show too. It's just going to keep going and going and going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sweet.
Well, your father said to me years ago, and he said it to lots of people, that people would be watching Little House long after we were all gone. And when he said it to me at the age of 25, it felt a little like hyperbole. I just when you're 25, you just don't think that's possible. You're going to live forever. You're never going to be gone. At 68, it feels very clear that Little House has this life as long as entities are willing to invest in keeping it up to date technologically. It has the ability to go on and on and on because of the universality of the message that the program offers.
So were
Definitely.
people just recognizing you and coming up to you to tell you their stories?
So when actually it was kind of fun because obviously it was such a busy weekend and different places that we wanted to be. But on the day that we got to have our kids and our spouses, and Shauna was there with her daughter Olivia. And at one point, the kids just kind of went walking, and the kids even had people coming up to them and with tears sharing their stories. And so it really blew them away. Like, they obviously heard a lot about their grandpa, but to really see and feel the emotions that people had for their grandfather and for the show and the impact of the show, they just keep talking about it. They just can't wrap their head around it, actually.
When you think back to the years you spent with your father as he's creating this, how would you encapsulate what his mission was with what he created and what we all were a part of? And I'm just curious how you got it, what it felt like to you.
The first thing that pops in my head, I think his mission was to bring families together, that they could have an hour where they sit together and they feel all the emotions and talk about it. I think it was important for him to have family television that really meant something to everybody.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he grew up with a dysfunctional family. And so, he wanted to create the ideal. He wanted to point all of us in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Yes, we're going to falter. We're going to come short of the mark, but it was due north. It was true north.
Yeah.
For families.
Yeah. The other big highlight, honestly, for me was obviously experiencing this with Mike the whole weekend. Mm-hmm. But so many people would turn to my brother and talk about their love for When Calls the Heart and Love Comes Softly. Mm. And to see, the legacy of beautiful family television through Mike and having people say to him how much they love his work was such a gift also for us.
I watched this. I've just seen some clips of your work, Michael, and I feel like when I was watching some just segments of things that you had directed, it felt so influenced by the way your father shoot angles, tempo. It just really felt, it felt very in sync as I watched these things.
Yeah, well, that's high praise. So
well,
thank
you learned from the master.
Yeah,
I did indeed.
Yeah. Well, I want to just say we've been supported so beautifully by so many different companies who've stepped in with us, particularly the city of Simi Valley. This event would not have happened without the support of the Simi Valley Chamber of Commerce, who just stepped into the event huge, without Friendly Family Productions, who sanctioned the event and said, yes, let's do this and honor the program and honor Michael and honor everything that was done. And then there were other companies that stepped in too, like Cozy TV and Rodex and Modern Prairie. Obviously, our friend Melissa was very involved with her company, Price Ford, the city of Simi Valley, Adventist Health, Simi Valley. So many groups helped make this work. And this was a huge, huge team effort on, you saw this when you're trying to lasso something like this, there were so many things on the table that we wanted to do, and to be able to load this thing up, and then it just sort of explodes out and it drops in, and you just don't know how it's going to work.
And Leslie and Michael,
until it
did you know it was going to be as big as it was?
Oh gosh, no.
Oh, you didn't. Oh
No.
wow.
No, the day we pulled up on Friday morning, I was waiting to see some sort of line and activity, and then it was like, wait, where does the what?
What?
Yeah.
There's no end to the line.
Yeah.
Then you started
You
seeing
kept
the
saying,
scope.
you kept saying, "Can you believe this? I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable." I mean,
Yeah.
we had no idea.
It was breathtaking.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, your father and Kent McCrae were an incredible team. Throughout the weekend, I invoking them both constantly. I just wonder, as you knew them, you obviously knew them both, your father, obviously, Kent, so well. What do you think they would have thought as they saw people coming together in this effort to honor them and the work that they did together?
I mean, it would blow their minds, I would assume, like everybody else's. I mean, I don't think anybody anticipated that completely. I mean, you knew there was a love for the show, but for people to sacrifice their time, travel, expenses,
From over 20 countries.
from over 20
was-
countries, from rain or shine, here they are, just wanting to share their love of the show with others, and the cast and the crew. It was, it was just one of the most emotional experiences of my life.
I honestly wish someone had just been standing behind us with a phone just to record everything, because there were so many incredible stories, and we're just trying to take it all in. I just want to savor each thing that people said to us, truly.
One of the things that you did not get to do this weekend, because we had rain on Saturday, was to go to Big Sky Ranch. And I just wanted to assure you both that the tours are going to continue at Big Sky. And Big Sky Ranch is going to take that over with the city of Simi Valley.
It's amazing.
And those tours are going to continue to run, maybe not on an hourly basis, but on a monthly basis. There will be, I think, the way they're thinking about it, there will be tours. So we will definitely get you and your family up there so that they can see. You obviously know the place very well. But it's pretty cool to see these facades of these locations that we all knew and loved so well back in the spots where they actually existed all those years ago. I think there's just been a wonder. I don't know. All of us have been there with people and seeing the reaction in people's eyes and the excitement of looking at these things that they could only imagine or watch on television, but to see a version of it in front of them it was really incredibly gratifying to see that. I know you're going to, when you get up there and are able to share it with your children and grandchildren, they're going to really love it. I hope you're able to do that soon.
Thrilled to hear this, team. Thank you.
And I just also wanted to tell the two of you that, one of the panels that we did was Little House is a Safe Space, and it sort of featured people who have had trauma in their lives. And for me, everyone asks, like, why does Little House keep going? Why is this, and you can answer, oh, it's love and it's family values. And that's all true. But in my opinion, I think that it's enduring because it's healing. It heals a lot of people. And you talk to people in a lot of trauma healing, circuits, and they use Little House as a healing mechanism. It's a real thing. And I just hope that you guys know that as well, that it's bigger than just we loved the show, family values. It's so much bigger than that.
It became very apparent over the weekend.
Oh, good. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we were also so appreciative that the Pancreatic Cancer Network was there in honor of our dad, and PanCan was there all 3 days, and I really hope everybody got to stop by. And they're doing a big team walk, and they're actually calling it Team Little House.
That's
and
great.
hopefully we'll get a nice response throughout.
Well, I can tell you I've had over the weekend half a dozen or more. My team, my little section of the team is growing. So people are signing up and making donations. I think we're all going to be sending out lots of messages about PanCan during the next month before this event. So it's coming. It's a month from tomorrow. So the event is a month from tomorrow. So we have some time to generate interest and excitement.
April 27th.
April 27th.
April 27th.
April 27th. Yes.
Thank you, guys. That means a lot to
we appreciate
the whole
that.
Landon family.
One line that we quoted in the Town Square tent a lot over the course of the weekend, and you all may remember it, is in the last scene of The Last Farewell. Reverend Landon says, "Walnut Grove did not die in vain." And it sure didn't.
Sure did.
It goes on and on. Mike and Leslie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
What
you
an
for joining
honor.
us.
So good to see you guys.
Well, it
Thank
was
you for
lovely seeing
everything.
both of you this weekend.
So good.
It was just so great. And thank you for coming and seeing all this effort that was gone into this. So we're just thrilled.
We'll never forget it. Dean.
We were very blessed by it all. Thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much.
Well, we'll see you soon. And you've got a Surrey coming your way.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got a Surrey. So we're going to figure out how that's going to happen.
Yeah. A lot of great memories. So thank you.
So
Very
fun.
good. All right, you guys, enjoy your day, and
Thank you.
we'll speak.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
you
coming.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Wow, amazing.
Just
Wow. Wow.
Wow,
wonderful.
that's right.
Allison, you were, you were quiet through all that.
I know, because I'm just so amazed. I mean,
We've
what
never
has-
seen Allison actually speechless before.
Oh
This
my
weekend
God,
was a
what?
first.
If this is mind blowing, if this weekend blew all our little brains out of
Yeah.
our heads,
Yeah.
what on earth did this have to be like for them?
I know.
What
Yeah.
on earth was this like for
Yeah.
Michael Landon's children?
Yeah,
That
I know. It's
50
very
years
exciting.
later, people would be carrying on like this. It's crazy enough for us. How on? I don't know how they're even processing this. I don't know how I'm processing this, and I can't imagine how I would process this if Michael Landon was my dad.
Well, and Chris, you were on that final panel that closed the whole show. Will you talk about that experience?
I mean, it was Michael and Leslie, and they were just, again, just stunned by the outpouring of appreciation and gratitude and how much people loved the show. And, I think, again, people from all over the planet Earth were there this weekend and just, showing that this is a TV show, but it's impacted people
Right.
far beyond, the Rockford Files.
Right. There's no Walton's 50th anniversary.
3-day
happening
long-
There was no. The
A
Waltons are our
3-day
friends.
Walton
We
one.
love the
I don't think so.
I don't think it was quite this.
Pamela. We love the
That was a
Waltons.
shot across the bow.
Street fight. Yeah.
Yeah, let's not get into it
All right,
with
we
our
can
friends
say
on the wall.
we can say there was no 3-day multinational Chico and the Man,
Right.
which also premiered in 1974. It's not happening.
All right, very good.
Chico and the Man
Chris,
Con.
Go on with the
So I think that was it. It was just the Landons were so appreciative, and the fans were so appreciative, and it was just a great thing to see.
Also,
the show, the books, the land. Leslie came to me with Little House on the Prairie books to autograph for the Landon now next generation children who are reading the Little House books, and I'm then autographing them. And I was like,
Yeah. Brain.
And it all goes
recalibrating.
back. It all goes back to a little girl born in Wisconsin in 1867.
Yeah. Jen, you started to say something.
I was just going to say that I was with Dean and the Landon children when he showed them the interior sets
Oh, wow.
for the first time. And Leslie's reaction was a very emotional one, and it was so sweet. And fans were all around watching their reaction.
Wow.
And them seeing their dad's golf cart being restored and just talking to Olin about it and the tears and the emotion. And for me, it was huge because I had never met them. So I'm a fan myself, and watching their reaction and Leslie looking at Mike and saying, "Mike, look at Dad. look at Dad. It was just such like pulling on all the heartstrings. And I had posted to Dean's channel a little snippet of their reaction, but it was just so beautiful to see all of the hard work, because it like Little House didn't die. Walnut Grove didn't die in vain, you know.
Not at all.
It's still living on.
Walnut
in all
Grove
of our
is
hearts.
slowly taking over the planet.
It is. I really feel like Dean and I were talking about this. I feel like this momentum that is coming from this event is just going to turn into something else. I feel like this is almost just the beginning of something else. I really do. So that's all I was going to say.
Well, it's certainly going to be a wonderful year, and we're going to talk more in our next show about our reactions to this. But right now, we are blowing through time,
and more people
and
talk.
Chris is racing for an airplane. Before we go, I just need to say, Simi Valley, California invites you to see the place where it all began. This March, last weekend, the Little House on the Prairie 50th anniversary was part of that. Discover our stories from presidents to pioneers, visit iconic locations like the Reagan Library, and more. Make your own memories at visitsimivalley.com. And we also want to thank some of our other sponsors: Alexander GMC of Simi Valley, Golden State Water Company, Marketingscape, Strathern Historical Society, WM, formerly Waste Management, and Vista at Simi Valley Assisted Living. And that's just, there are so many more that stepped in at the very end. I'm expecting a big list of additional companies that supported us for future podcasts. But thank you, Pamela. You need to take us out so we can do wings here.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. And we'll be back next week with another episode. We're still going to be talking about this, our experiences, people, places, panels, all that jazz. So come back next week. We'll see ya. Airplane arms, airplane arms. Oh, look, it's all of us doing airplane arms this time.
Well, we're insane, Chris.
And we were there where it all happened.